Russian occupiers are using infiltration tactics in many areas, which consist of not engaging in combat with our defenders, but bypassing their positions. Rostislav Yashchishin, head of the communications department of the 63rd Separate Mechanized Brigade of Ukraine, which is holding the defense in the Lyman direction, told Unian about this in a comment. While they had previously attempted frontline attacks, after those failed, they switched to trying to outflank our positions, hide somewhere in the rear, gather forces, and then carry out further tasks. And in fact, they were partially successful, but only temporarily, because we see where they were going and where they were hiding, and then something arrived, flew in, or landed on them, Yashchishin said. According to the military man, Russia uses poorly trained troops for this tactic, preparing them for war in 1 to 2 weeks. They are also not provided with equipment, but are given a travel allowance, which some Russian troops spend on gear. Who are they using for this tactic? A large number of social trash. These are primarily Russian citizens who are unemployed, who have problems with the law, or will have problems with the law. That is, they have a choice: go to war or end up in prison. These are people who don't pay taxes and therefore are of no use to the Russian Federation. And all the prisoners we've captured always say the same thing. They haven't been trained, they know nothing, and they can't do anything. Almost all the prisoners were 300s. When they asked for supplies to be delivered to them via drones, they would sometimes drop a flag, like "wave" for the camera and you'll be happy, says Yashchishin. He noted that Russia is attempting to intimidate the defense forces with its sheer numbers. The main problem facing the Ukrainian defenders, according to the soldier, is a shortage of personnel. We have plenty of drones, but not enough crews. There simply aren't enough people for all those assault teams, which can even consist of a single person. Therefore, recruiting and integrating new members into our brigade is, of course, a pressing issue. Unlike the enemy, we do everything to ensure that our service members are as well trained as possible and able to defend themselves and their comrades. Yashchishin added. Under these circumstances, the number of Russian soldiers who voluntarily choose to become prisoners of war is also increasing. Recall an American volunteer who joined the Ukrainian armed forces and operates on the Lyman direction, captured 4 Russian occupying troops in the Serebryansk forestry. The 63rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, Steel Lions, confirms this information. Admire the American soldier's command of Ukrainian and especially his courtesy. Even Russians were surprised. 63rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, Steel Lions said. After the detainment, the volunteer gave each captive a cigarette. "I'm American. I don't really understand Russian." A soldier during the detainment of the occupiers. The events confirm activity on the Lyman direction and the role of volunteers in defending Ukraine.
Ukraine's Ghosts elite unit under the main intelligence directorate, known as HUR, has inflicted heavy losses to the Russian army in terms of military equipment in occupied Crimea Peninsula. As a result of the operation carried out by the unit, on the peninsula, a ship-based multipurpose Ka-27 helicopter and 4 air defense systems, Lyra, a 10 airfield radar complex, 55 ZH-6U Nebo-U radar station, a Nebo-SV dome-type radar, and P-18 Terek radar has been destroyed in the peninsula. Video footage shared in social media shows the operation involving airstrikes on the high-value Russian targets. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces confirmed the report about the destruction of Russian helicopter and air defense systems on Friday. The General Staff also said in a statement that air defense forces destroyed 95 of the 115 drones used by Russia to attack Ukraine on the evening of November 20th. Ukrainian troops have stepped up the intensity and the scale of long-range strikes on Russian targets in occupied territories of Ukraine as well as deep Russia. The strikes including strategic military facilities as well as energy structures in an effort to undermine the Kremlin's war efforts.
While the Kremlin and its propaganda arm are reporting on the restoration of occupied Mariupol, local residents have revealed what is really going on in the city captured by Russia. In a video posted online, highlighted by Ukrainian blogger Denis Kazansky, residents of Mariupol showed a house that, according to the occupiers, has supposedly been fully restored, when in reality only a facade has been added to create a pretty picture for Russian propagandists to film. 2.5 entrances are burnt out. That's just it. I've run out of strength and patience. Look how shamelessly they're treating us. 3 years in, and soon it'll be the 4th. The house looks beautiful on the outside. Everything seems fine. And they even got us some railings, but inside it's a nightmare, says a resident. That is, the building's facade has been cosmetically renovated, while the interior is in a dilapidated state and completely unfit for habitation. In particular, they painted the old doors in the house, but in the documents they were presented as new. Because the building has been standing for 3 years, these 2 entrances aren't heated, so it's damp again. Everything's just falling apart. The contractor says there's no money. The same resident continues. She also said she couldn't get an appointment with the occupation authorities in Mariupol to complain about the lack of proper repairs to her building. These same authorities claim they have nothing to do with the restoration of the buildings. The resident then contacted Putin on a direct line, after which she was promised that her house would be restored in August. But the Russian dictator's promise was not fulfilled. So restoration has been going on for 3 years. Formally, the process continues. They report on it. They say, look, we're restoring so many houses, but there are no results, except for some stories on Russian television. The blogger commented on the residents' complaints. Russia says it has built a total of over 5,000 new apartments in 70 new buildings for the residents of Mariupol. By the end of 2024, the authorities claimed that almost all Mariupol's homes had been rebuilt. The progress made on these construction efforts can be seen in satellite images, but the traces of the city's destruction are still evident, especially in the eastern part of the city. Residents complain on social media that they have still not been given a replacement for their destroyed homes and are still homeless. They also say that the authorities have seized the homes of residents who had fled the city and given them to others. Many apartments in the prestigious new buildings, on the other hand, are being sold, mostly to Russians moving to Mariupol. The influx of Russians is only one part of the Russification process. After the conquest of Mariupol, the occupiers removed Ukrainian symbols from the cityscape. Streets were renamed, paintings on house facades were covered over, and monuments were removed.